we witnessed the beginning of one of the most monumental moments in music history right here. Like, this right here is the beginning. And oh my gosh, I was getting so emotional because, hey, what's up? A-Aron here, back for my 10th reaction video. And for this one, we're going to get into Angelina Jordan with what I understand is the very first recording available of her back when she was 6 years old. Are you kidding me? I'm super, super excited for this. Look, you have been scouring, like, wrong word, but just blessing me, right? Showering, that's the word I was looking for, right? Showering with me with comments and a whole bunch of information about Angelina. And we're going to get into that as we go through. I've learned so much since the last one. I bought her book and read it as well. I told you I was hooked, and I absolutely am. So I'm super excited to bring this to you. And so, funnily enough, so this is I Who Have Nothing. And I was about to record this, and I started recording it and realized I got it wrong. I thought this was I Have Nothing. And I think actually she does a version of I Have Nothing from Whitney Houston. But this is I Who Have Nothing. So I wasn't ready for that. And I actually stopped and said, wait a minute, hold up. I've got this all wrong. And the reason for that is I want to make sure part of my rating system, I've been introducing a brand new rating system. I've only done 2 videos for it. And it's the first time with Angelina Jordan. Part of that is actually an adaptation and interpretation of the style and the music and the performer. Right? And in order to do that, I have to understand a little bit about the song and where it came from and things to that effect. If it's original, it's a different story. But in this case, I stopped and I did a little bit of research. So a little bit of a disclaimer there. I did a little bit of research. And before I forget, I also will add that this was recommended to me. I'll have to add the person's name. Sorry, I didn't have that ready. Apologies. I will add it on here, though. So thank you very much. It was also mentioned in there to make sure you watch to the end where Angelina asks, how did I do? So I'm aware of that. So I'm not going to be able to, I mean, I can react to it happening, but my point is I'm aware that that's coming, right? And we might actually stop before that. I'm not sure. But regardless, so I did a little bit of research, and we'll talk about that as we get going through in terms of the background of this. But without further ado, I want to dive right in because I do not want to keep you waiting. And I will do my best to not interrupt much here, and I will definitely do my best to not talk over her performing unless maybe it's a miscellaneous comment. I know I've gotten your feedback. I thank you all. I'm trying to get better each and every time. Let's get to it.
Cut.
Go back a little bit because I just realized I was listening so intently that I actually wasn't looking at some of the screen for some of this. I think I missed a little bit of the visual, so apologies for that. I'm gonna go back.
Jeg synes det var helt nydelig, egentlig. Var det noe sånn roting på i mellompartiet der?
Ja, for jeg...
Du stokka litt om på ordene. Men hvordan synes du det gikk selv, da?
Ja, det gikk fint. Bare at det var bare en setning.
Ja, det var noe.
Did you guys just hear and watch? Like, we witnessed the beginning of one of the most monumental moments in music history right here. Like, this right here is the beginning. And oh my gosh, I was getting so emotional because there's so much to unpack here. First and foremost, she's so freaking tiny, and you know, I mean, I saw her at 9, which, by the way, someone told me that, you know, that was recorded at the age of 7. But then I saw something that somebody responded saying, no, it wasn't, or something. So I'm not entirely sure. I'm talking about my reaction to Put a Spell on You, the recording for that. But here, what is mesmerizing? Well, there's a billion things about this, right? And someone actually responded that when I said, "What is crazy about this?" Someone responded in the comment, "What is crazy about this?" Everything to the last one, but this paints a picture. I'm so glad I'm reacting to this now, towards the very beginning, because I am so looking forward to going on the journey here. Because what I also see is a lot of imperfections and vulnerability and nervousness and all kinds of things in her, but also I see the sheer brilliance of a to-become, once in a generational, once in a historical nature musician. Now, I have yet to hear Angelina grown up, and I don't want to yet. I don't. I want to go on this journey with you and get there. And I'm so glad we're starting at this precocious, precious age. And let's start talking about some of the specifics I noticed. So, this filming in the beginning. Oh, by the way, I did know that it was her grandmother that filmed this, who, by the way, let's give it up for Angelina's grandmother, because apparently she's the one that got Angelina going with so many things, enrolling her in school, poetry and all this stuff, which, by the way, she did the imagery for the book that Angelina wrote, just amazing. So my understanding is she's actually filming this. And the fact that it's done on a home camera, right? Maybe a cell phone. I think this was done in 2015, certainly around then. Not very good lighting. It's home done. There's shaking and everything. I feel like that adds to it. It shows the beginning of the journey here. Now, I will rate things objectively, and if that factors in, we'll talk about that. But in terms of the experience, in this being the first recording, if that truly is, I feel like that adds so much to it, right? And at the beginning here, she's kind of upset and clearly nervous. She's doing a little rehearsal, but then, yeah, see, she's anxious. Which, that vulnerability at this age during her first performance, look, I've only been in a recording studio once, right? I went into some jam sessions and stuff, and then, you know, they invited me out to recording, and I was nervous as all get out. I was in college, and I was much more mature as a person, as a musician, studying, right? Like, just to be in that position. And she is 6 years old in a recording studio, right? So it's amazing to actually see that beginning journey, like, okay, this is it. Like, she's getting the first opportunity to be in a recording studio, and we see that right in the beginning. I'm guessing you will never see that later on, right? I didn't see it in the 9-year-old version of her at all. She commanded that. So it's incredible to see that vulnerability here. Really. And then I like the panning showing around. There's no audio, so I'm talking here, right?
Whenever you're ready. And
let's talk about the version of the song. So I did, as I said, I did some research. And so This was originally done by Ben E. King, and it had kind of a very 50s, 60s feel, kind of like Elvis. In dramatic strings, big drums in the beginning, this like rattle effect in the intro, very different than this. And then Tom Jones did it, which was like a big band. We had some big screaming trumpets in the beginning, and then it kind of subdued, and then we had this huge voice from him. And then you had Shirley Bassey doing it, which kind of had this like classical feel to it almost, like with a classical trumpet that could have been like a piccolo trumpet almost. But, you know, one of the biggest things that I noticed, and I wanted to pay attention here, and I'm glad I did a little bit. We might have to go back and listen to it a little bit. But I noticed very different treatment of the timing of these artists, right? And so this theme is, it's a combination of a triplet, 3 notes, followed by, straight beat. So it's a triplet 3 and right? So it's like, that's the feeling of it. So it's kind of going back and forth, right? And it's also very, very simple key changes. It's a very simple tune that allows for a lot of space for a singer to come out without a lot of complexities in the music. And I'm guessing, based on what I continue to hear, is that maybe it was even her idea to choose this. And absolutely brilliant choice for the first song in the studio. To not have too many complexities, too much going on with the music, a lot of repetition, not only in the lyrics and the chorus, but also in the actual structure of the music and the chord progression. But the treatment is very different of the starting of the I, like where you see Benny King actually hitting on the downbeat of every note, and Tom Jones plays with that a little bit. Quite a bit, actually. And I just listened to these right before, so I might be getting who did what a little bit wrong. But I feel like Shirley Bassey actually was on the beat, although her triplets were super sped up. And I do feel like Angelina's made a choice to kind of combine that. She plays with the timing of that a bit here, right? And so let's look at that.
Klar?
Started before the one. Now, I enunciated a little bit to just show the effect, but that one is that feeling, the beat, right? So if you watch my hands, she starts like maybe slightly after the half. Right on it, right? To give it a different feel. That is a choice, right? And it gives it that she's leading the band, but she's also free. See that? Before the beat. But then she hits it on there. And so this song has a lot of those triplets. A lot of those that gives it that lagging, that moving, that flowing feel. And she's really selling that. And that's not an easy feel in the beginnings of music, actually. To go, even in the same musical measure between the 2 and the 3, and to switch that and guide them. And then to drive it over onto the next measure. And then in the interpretation of Tom Jones, there's a series of triplets where there's delays to it, so it's almost swinging a little bit. She plays into that as well. So her maturity and understanding and interpretation of music is fantastic throughout. Now, she did have some intonation problems, especially in that note, her vibrato, and she even lost the pitch a little bit, which I would expect, again, going back to imperfections here in her verse beginning. It's unbelievable. Her sound is incredible already, right? And you hear her talk at the end, and it's like, it's so high-pitched. And she's such a little girl, and we have this big sound coming out of her. It's unbelievable at this age. It really is. But yeah, going back to intonation, there's a number of spots where she was not entirely on pitch. But when she has the big moment, she lost it there. There's the delay of this triplets. Yeah. So she loses the pitch a little bit here, and her vibrato's not consistent. Right there. It's almost like she went down like a 80% of a half note, right? She lost it, and then there was an inconsistent vibrato there. So it's not perfect, but again, would you expect perfection at this age? It's incredible. It's amazing to see that in her. I'm so glad we are seeing that. Now, the other thing here is I was starting to get really emotional here because this thumbs up, right? She went from the nervous, and then she even gave a little jump to like, I'm doing it. I'm in the studio. We're recording. I'm doing it. I'm making this happen, right? This is real. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. And then I think the last thing that I want to comment is the ending. Like, she created this effect with her voice of fading away. Right? She introduced this area now. She felt like she was attacking it from the top down, kind of coming down with the last little phrasing. And it played into her age and you know, how young and little she is. It was probably easy for her, but it was a beautiful effect. Right here. Now, I'm interpreting this my way. That's what you're asking for, right? So I could be wrong. But the reason in my opinion, the reason she's asking how did she do is she knows she screwed up, and she's such a perfectionist, and we see that in her growth, and it takes a perfectionist to be who she's become. You know, she's actually like, that didn't go so well, right? Even though it was damn good for the first time, and I love his response. It was honest. For the first time, it was awesome, right? This is the first time in a studio. I mean, all the nerve. I mean, come on. It was awesome. But he's right, and I noticed it too. But I thought it was actually a choice of hers. But hearing him and her also say that she messed it up, I noticed this. So I thought I had the lyrics open. Where are you? Oh, there we are. And so I also noticed this in my research. This second verse. He buys you diamonds, right? So what is we didn't even talk about this, the concept of this, right? So basically, I who have nothing, the whole concept of this song is about the fact that all I have for you is love. And this other person is able to buy you this and give you all this, but I've got love and I'll do whatever I can. But shouldn't love be enough, right? That's the concept, or that's the theme of the song. That's the messaging that I understand, at least, right? And so when they're talking about the other person, they say, he buys you diamonds, bright, sparkling diamonds. But believe me, my dear, when I say that he can give you the world, but he'll never love you the way I do. That's super powerful. He can give you all these material things, but you're never going to get what I have. Well, so the interesting thing is, in the original version, this is what it was. He buys you diamonds. In the Tom Jones version, this is what it was. He buys you diamonds. In the Shirley Bassey version, it was about her being, the other person being a male, and she said she buys you diamonds. Now, Angelina said you. here. And again, I thought it was an artistic choice, and I was trying to figure out how that played in because it was interesting. You buy you diamonds. But we see that it was actually a mistake. I'm going to go here to see if I can... Yeah, you. You buy you diamonds. Oh, and she said I didn't even miss that. Okay, so she totally messed up the words there. Right, and so she was obviously upset by it, but look, the professionalism to be able to continue after that. Like, she didn't miss a beat, right? I'm curious how many people didn't even notice that, right? Clearly, you know, the sound editor, production guy did, and she clearly was really annoyed at herself with it. But then you see her get excited and so forth because she's getting through it. This is her first time. So amazing to see in here. It really is. Wow, this was transformational. I'm so grateful to be able to experience this moment, that it's on film, that we're able to see it. Just greatness right in front of us right here. This right here, this moment, right? You hear Howie Mandel on America's Got Talent sometimes say, this moment, this right here, this is the thing that's going to change. This was the moment that changed her. Or at least, sorry, my earbuds giving me problems. At least, you know, professionally, right? Taking that step that, you know, we're doing this. Brilliant. Brilliant. I did not like the sound quality, though, I'm going to be honest. I'm guessing that the audio on the recording is in the lobby. Typically, they'll have soundproof rooms in studios, and you can hear, or maybe they had a feed. I don't think it was done in post-editing, though, because the vocals certainly would have been easier to hear and not drowned out by some of the music. It was a little difficult, and the mixing wasn't great. You know, there was certainly some post-editing that went in after that. But again, that's what makes it raw. And it adds to the value of this, I think. So let's dive right into this new scoring system, because I don't want to drag this on even further. Okay, and so what we see here is, you see this chart, they're all empty now. So we're gonna start to do them. So there's 6 different dimensions, and we're gonna dive in. They have point values that add up to 100. So starting with entertainment. All right, so this evaluates the music's ability to engage and captivate the audience, measuring its overall appeal and potential for repeated engagement. It focuses on the performance's accessibility and how it maintains the viewer. Right, so does the music captivate the audience throughout it? Does the performance keep you focused start to finish? Are there moments that particularly draw you in or stand out? How does the artist use dynamics, tempo changes, emotional expressions? So I feel like the engagement was good, but it was lacking a little bit here. You do see her hiding behind her mic, right? And I think it's almost an appropriate thing to see her grow, right? And so I think there was a lot to be desired here with this, to be honest. From an engagement perspective, I feel like that's a 2 out of 5. And you might hate me for this, especially the first thing we're evaluating. But I'm trying to be objective. Replayability. Would you play it again? Would you listen to it again? Absolutely, 100%, 5 out of 5. No questions asked. Amazing. Accessibility. Can someone who's not familiar with the genre or artist enjoy it and understand it? Does it appeal to a broad audience? I think that if someone didn't know that this was her, like who she became, they wouldn't appreciate it as much. I think if they didn't know or understand jazz, they might not appreciate it as much. But could they understand it? Could somebody watch the 6-year-old in a studio performing brilliantly and appeal for it? Absolutely. I don't see how anybody could not enjoy that. I can't deduct anything for that. So to me, that's a 5. So we've got 5, 5, and 2. So we're at 12 points for entertainment. Quality. Okay, so this is the technical production values of the music and its presentation, including the clarity or intentional ambiguity of lyrics and themes. Right, so audio quality, the clarity, balance, quality. I've got to deduct on that because it was hard to actually evaluate her a little bit. I mean, you can hear her, sure, but it could have been better. It could have been better. So to me, that's a 2 out of 4. Production quality. what was done with the home camera. So that was intentional. I feel like you can't deduct from that, because the fact to edit that, to add something to that, would actually detract from that. So I feel like that's got to be a 2. Cinematography, well, again, home view, they're panning and showing this. You zoom in, you see her reaction. Again, I got to give that a 2. So we're 2, 2, and 2. So this is a 6 out of 10. Wait, does I say right? No, an 8. Oh, we haven't completed. No wonder. Okay. Understandability. Sorry, this is still new to me, even though I did this. Measured with the lyrics and themes are clearly conveyed or is tended by the artist. I feel like she built up, but it wasn't necessarily understandable what the theme was tied to the music and so forth. But we're talking about from a quality perspective, sorry. From a quality perspective, absolutely. I never had any issues understanding it. So, yeah. So, we lost 2 points on the top. So, this is an 8 out of 10. Now we get into value. Okay, so this is, does it, capture the more broader impact of the music on the audience, including emotional and thematic depth, right? The messaging, how well does the music convey its message, the lyrics align, so forth, emotions raised. I feel like the music did. This might get into some of the performance, but I feel like it does across the board. The impact, it definitely inspires a strong reaction, especially her singing and so forth. I can't see losing any points for that. And then the theme, just the central topics. To me, one of the central themes is actually her development. And it's so strong, this has to be a 15 out of 15. The value of this is just through the roof. Musical architecture. Right, so here we're looking at the construction and delivery of the music itself, technical aspects and the creative decisions, the adaptation, right? And so the arrangement, the composition, I think it was a beautiful choice just to have that more Shirley Bassey style with just the light instrumentations and that dun 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 dun. I think that was brilliant. It made a ton of sense. Love it. Instrumentation, I think that was a good, careful choice with her singing, being the solo artist with this. I can't see any change in that, but supporting the narrative and so forth, I feel like they definitely did. Adaptation, the appropriateness and how creatively she chose to do it. Again, the timing of that, blending into it, brilliant. And then the alignment with the messaging, presentation, talent. The music was all there. It also allowed her to scream and roar a bit and then get down, and I feel like they aligned with the talent. So musical architecture overall, this is a perfect. And so that's a 15. Performance. Okay, you may not agree with some of this, but again, I'm going to try to be specific. Technique and execution, right? She demonstrated some things, a lot of techniques. We see so much more, even in the 9-year-old version of her, and obviously much later, even more. But she demonstrated strong technique, although there were some falters on the execution. Right? The performance, she mispronounced or said the words, mixed up the words. Her intonation wasn't perfect. She messed up on her vibrato a couple times. And again, we have to consider age as well. So I feel like this is a 7, maybe. Expressiveness, delivering that emotion and so forth. She could have been a lot more expressive to me. I mean, she did in her musical phrasing, but, her presence in the performance, but it was very strong, so maybe a 4. So we're 7 and 4, so we're at 11 so far. In stage presence, I feel like she really lacked there. She really did. She kind of hid behind it. I mean, I love this, but she had a lot of room to be desired, so I feel like that's a 2. So we had 7, 4, so 11, 13, and then artistic interpretation. I loved her interpretation of it. I really do. She made all the right choices for her age and everything. So 5 points there. So we were at, 7, 4, 11, 13, 18 out of 25. You probably don't agree with me, and that's okay. Presentation. So the effectiveness of the visual production elements, ensuring they enhance musical and performance and elements. So the parody between the eye-ear parody absolutely matches what I'm expecting to see. Visibility, messaging, value to everything. Just the sheer way this was done with the home camera has to be perfect. Stage presentation. I love they show the studio and everything. They show that. Absolutely. Cinematography. Again, for a home camera, it was brilliant. Visual creativity. I like the inclusion of her reactions in the beginning and the end and not cutting that. And I feel like it was their engagement. The camera crew was there. I don't know if she gave her a thumbs up. I feel like this presentation was outstanding. So that's a 20. So overall, we have an 88 out of 100, which for a 6-year-old Angelina is out of this world. Unbelievable. With that, I really thank you. Please go ahead and subscribe. Look, for the first time, you have the ability, I'm going to add a comment here. If you want to contribute to the growth of this channel, please go ahead and leverage the Buy Me a Coffee link that I'm going to post in the pinned comments. And leave me your comments. Let me know what you think. Thank you so much. We'll see you in the next one.